birthday girl. All right, so a couple tunes just for you. All right. I also understand you're a Star Wars fan. All right, so here's a couple tunes for you. And I understand that you have some Irish ancestry. Okay?
Happy birthday, dear Sabrina. Happy birthday to you. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. Very good. Happy birthday.
So, next I'm going to play, it's an Irish tune called The Minstrel Boy. And it was made famous in, well, it's used in some hymns and things, but it also was made famous in the movie The Man Who Would Be King with Sean Connery.
Oh, yeah.
And it is an Irish tune.
Excellent. Quite good.
So, a little bit about the pipes. Oh, I'm catching my breath. They were invented about 5,000 years ago in the area around Mesopotamia, what we now, the land between the rivers, what we now call Iraq. This is a long, long time ago. First concrete reference to them was a Hittite carving from 1300 BC. But they were carried by the Romans and the Greeks throughout all of Europe, Northern Africa, and Western Asia. So there's lots and lots of different countries have their own version of the bagpipe. There's Swedish bagpipes, you have the German dudelsack, the French musette, the Irish zampogna and cornemuse, the Northumbrian small pipes. And what you're seeing now is this is the one. It developed in the Highlands of Scotland, but it's commonly played throughout the British Isles, and this has become the most popular kind of bagpipe played in the world today. And like I said, it's widely played in Scotland and Ireland. And it's called the Great Highland Bagpipe, or Piedmore in Gaelic. And so anyway, it's the way that they work is so you've got a bag which is made out of just out of hide, as you can see in here. So it's just a hide bag, and when you squeeze on the bag, it forces air out through the different pipes. So the part that I'm holding in my hands is called the chanter. It gets its name from to chant or to sing, and that's where most of the music happens. And the chanter uses a double reed like an oboe or a bassoon. And one of the interesting parts about the bagpipe is you can't tongue it. Your mouth is up here, the reed is down here. So unlike a flute or oboe or something where you can separate notes by using your tongue, you can't do that with a Highland bagpipe. So you have to use your fingers. So you'll see, as a bagpiper plays, you'll see them like flick their fingers. What they're doing is they're accentuating or separating notes using their fingers. That's how we create different notes. And I'll give you some example, like I'll play some jigs in a little bit, and you'll see me do a lot of you'll see these quick flickings of my fingers. That's how I separate those notes. So that uses a double reed. These have a single reed, like what you would have with a, hang on a second, I just noticed there's a, put this together slightly wrong in my haste. There we go. But they have single reeds like a clarinet or a saxophone. And so there's actually 4 different reeds. So this is 4 instruments all in one. And so just like a guitar, whenever somebody goes to play a guitar, they've got 6 strings. In order to play that guitar, they have to tune those 6 strings to each other. And so on a bagpipe, the same thing. I have to take these things and tune them to the chanter in order to make that work. So that's what's happening. And these provide that hum that you hear in the background. So they provide the harmony. And all the melody comes out of this piece right here. So, are there any tunes that you would like? Any requests?
I have a question. When you're saying that you're going to be flicking your fingers on it, is that on this piece right here?
That's on this piece right here. So
On
it
those
has
little
holes like an
okay.
like a recorder or
Right.
other woodwind instruments. So you
that's
cover
where
the
you get the
holes.
notes.
Right.
Okay.
So as I raise my fingers and I shorten this tubing, as I lift the holes, from the reed to the end to the hole that's uncovered becomes shorter.
Okay.
And that means that the pitch is going to go up. Just like if you had a slide whistle and you were doing it, it moves
Right.
up as it gets shorter. So I'll give you an example of that. So I'm going to have to retune these real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll give you an example. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And then I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. As I lift my fingers up, you can see it pitch
Right.
going up. So we're limited. We have 9 notes that we can do on this. So it's like having a piano with 9 keys. None of the sharps, none of the flats. You got 9 keys. That's all you can do. So there's a lot of tunes that don't fit on here. Loch Lomond does not fit on a bagpipe. I can do a great rendition on a piano. Doesn't work on a bagpipe. Because it's just the range is too great. Whereas other things, surprisingly, Star Wars fits. Go figure.
Happy birthday work.
That's right. Happy birthday works too.
So, all right, let me real quick tune these up, and then I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. we're tuned. All right, I'll do a scale so you can see the range of notes I'm talking about, and then I'll do so I'll create some triplets so you can hear the difference, what I'm talking about.
When you blow, does it just fill up the bag?
Oh yeah, I never quite got to that. So we got a bag. I push on the bag. That forces the air out through the pipes. So all I'm doing with my mouth is just refilling the bag. This is just a hollow tube with a one-way clapper valve on the end.
Okay.
So there's no embouchure like what you have with other woodwind instruments.
Okay.
Right.
Or brass instruments like a trumpet and all. They have to use their lips in order to... We don't have that. So in that way the bagpipe's easier, but the bagpipe has other things that make it harder. So it's got its own unique things that create difficulties. So yeah, so all we're doing is refilling the bag. So some of those other forms of bagpipe, like in Ireland, there's a type of bagpipe that you will commonly hear called an Ilian pipe, which means elbow pipe. And so they've got the bag under one arm and they have a bellows under the other. So the Irish folk group, the Chieftains, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they use that. Or if you ever saw Riverdance, that type of bagpipe features in. And the Ilian pipe can actually play 2 octaves and a lot more chromatics. So they actually have quite a range and can play a wider variety of tunes on them than we can. We're somewhat limited, but they're not as loud. They're more made for indoors, and you also have to sit when you play that, thanks to the English. So the Irish used to have their war pipe and said, no, you can't play a type of bagpipe that you can stand. So the Irish adapted it, so you had to sit, and that was fine because you couldn't take it into battle. So, but anyway, yeah, that's the kind of bagpipe you often hear in a lot of those things. I mentioned the Northumbrian bagpipe. There is a really good Northumbrian piper by the name of Catherine Tickell, and if you remember Sting's Fields of Barley, there's this one instrument that's in there. That is a Northumbrian bagpipe. It's a beautiful instrument, and she is the player on that track. So,
What was that song again?
Fields of Barley. Da 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 dum dee da 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 dum da da.
Oh yes.
Da, da, that one.
Yep.
So
And
anyhow,
do you have a nice, sweet ballad for a sweet young lady?
okay, I'll play some stuff. Yeah, but first let me play a scale, then I'll play some triplets, and then I'll play some fun stuff. Okay.
Sounds good.
Any of you fans of Outlander?
Yeah, actually, I've seen it a couple
Okay,
times.
so I'll do the other stuff. I'll play the Outlander, and then I'll play the fun stuff.
There you
The
go.
other fun stuff. Okay. So all of the embellishments that we do have to be done with our hands, and we've got others more complex even than that that group a whole bunch of grace notes. So, and you'll see those happening. Anyway, the thing from Outlander, which is called Sky Boat Song, and that has ties to North Carolina. In 1746, Bonnie Prince Charles lost at the Battle of Culloden. He was one of the Stuart kings trying to reclaim the throne of England. And so he fled Scotland over to the Isle of Skye, or he fled mainland Scotland over to the Isle of Skye, and he was helped by a woman, Flora MacDonald. And she dressed Bonnie Prince Charles as her maid. And they fled in a boat, small boat, across to the Isle of Skye. And Flora MacDonald, after that incident, came to North Carolina and settled down in Laurinburg. Flora MacDonald College down there was named after her. But she lived in North Carolina for quite a while. And so we do have ties to Scotland. Scotland had a lot of Scots early on. In fact, down in the Cape Fear River, there was they used to speak Gaelic 200 years ago in most of those areas. But anyway, and a lot of Scots went through Ireland. So when you say that you're Irish, you may be Scotch-Irish in part, which were... There was a lot of mixing. Those two areas, you're talking not very far apart, and countries over there are not nearly as big. England is smaller than Georgia, and Scotland's smaller than South Carolina. So, so there was a lot of DNA mixing, over there. So, anyway, but here's the Skyboat Song, which is the theme from Outlander, and then, like I said, I'll play some other stuff as well.
I just have to figure these things out in my head so that I understand.
And that's the reed.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Not quite a film without the background.
Right, yes. I understand that now, I get it.
Yeah.
But I was watching and I'm like, okay, so what are those things doing then?
Right, and that's also why we're able to breathe when we're playing. Like, as you watch a bagpiper play, they're not constantly blowing. They're taking a breath,
Right.
and you know, you'll see me sometimes. It's like the sound's still coming out. And he's taking a breath. Well, that's why.
Right.
Because I'm putting the air in the bag, but that's all I have to do. Once the air is in the bag,
Then you can.
you know,
Right.
it's in the bag.
That's so sweet.
It's in the bag, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes. Pun intended.
It's pun intended.
Yeah, just consider me your pun pal.
You fit right in here.
That was your punishment for the day, by the way.
Oh.
Okay,
Excellent.
sorry about that, but
No, it's okay.
I just had to know.
So you have some sweet ballad.
Today than any of us ever knew.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So cool.
So you have a little sweet ballad for a sweet lady?
Yeah.
Do you know any
Trying to think what would be good. Okay.
Something from Brave.
This tune.
Do you have anything from Braveheart?
Oh, Braveheart.
For most of that movie, they use an Irish bagpipe. Really? Yeah. When you listen to it, that's an Irish bagpipe. So, all right. So you've heard this is the Scottish one.
Right.
If you pull up the track of Braveheart, it's
Right.
it's a much more almost a shrill instrument. Sometimes has a vibrato,
Oh, okay.
and that's this. Now we can kind of do the vibrato. A vibrato on a bagpipe you can't do obviously with your tongue, whether it's the Scottish or the Irish.
Right.
So when we do it, we have to do it with our fingers.
Oh, okay.
So I'll do something that's kind of in the Irish style, if you will, or in that same sort of a style, but and I'll play some other stuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Excellent.
So the you wanted a ballad.
Ballad. It's for you, Sabrina.
For a sweet Bonnie Lass.
Okay. This is a tune by the Irish harper O'Carolan, and they used to write I can't even think of what they're called, planksties, which were tunes like as minstrels would go around the countryside, they would like stay with people, and as a thank you, they would often write a tune for that person. So O'Carolan is one of the most famous Irish composers of of, you know, days gone by. And a phenomenal harper. It's so many of the harp tunes out there for Celtic Harper by O'Carolan. And he wrote this one, and anyway, it's called the Planxty Fanny Power. So that was her name. So it's kind of a funny name from an American standpoint, but, but there you go. But anyway, it's a beautiful tune.
Very good.
Any requests, thoughts, questions?
How much Irish are you? I mean, Scottish are you?
I don't know. I'm a mutt.
You're a mutt, like the rest of us.
Right. So my last name's Finnegan, but I know that my great-great-grandfather came over. He was born off the coast of Ireland on board a ship. But, you know, when I did 23andMe, I'm all over Northern Europe. And it's like on my dad's side, a lot of those ancestors came back in the 1600s, so there was a lot of mixing. You know, I think the first one came over in like 1634, and no, actually before that. But anyway, yeah, so a whole bunch of them came over. That was actually the second one came over in 1634, I think. So I had 3 ancestors on the Mayflower.
Yeah, my relatives got here at the turn of the last century.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much
Well, that was my mom's side.
Yeah.
That was my mom's side. So my mom's side is mostly from Germany, or supposedly all from Germany, but her DNA doesn't show all German either. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And they came over in the like 1890s. So, so it's like, you know, I'm a mutt.
It's all right. You're American, just like the rest. Heinz 57, we call him.
Heinz 57. You got it.
Scotland the Brave? Is that a good
Scotland the Brave, yeah. That's actually the first one, but I'll play it again so you know which one it is. I will play Scotland the Brave. And then I'll play another tune you might recognize. It's called The Ash Grove is the name of the tune, but it's used, again, you'll hear it in other things. And I'll play a few others that you'll hear. Sure.
just to ride the ponies. I am a Yankee Doodle man. It's a grand old flag. Oh, excellent, excellent. Very good. Quite a combination there.
Yeah.
A melody.
Oh, definitely traditional,
Yes.
you know, Celtic tunes there, all of them. Definitely.
Yes. Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, especially Star Wars.
Good night and found blind but I see that from my heart What's this one?
Lady Gaga.
Oh.
That's so good.
Excellent.
I'm laughing, so I know you got it.
Hey, you go right away.
That was good. That was awesome.
So like I said, it's kind of strange, 9 notes, but
That's
some
crazy.
things you can actually do on it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Get your picture taken.